we're rolling into 2025. It's been a minute since we've done this. I think the last one was June, July, maybe. Did we make it that far?
Yeah,
June,
we had
July?
a ton going and just kind of both of us got really busy and lives kind of changed around. I left True Green, had a great run at True Green. Love everybody there. Had a great opportunity kind of present itself here in Mississippi. I now work for Upchurch Services. They are a 50-year-old construction company, recently purchased by a private equity group. So had a neat opportunity. And so, yeah, we just had a lot going. So glad to be back in front of the screen talking to you about life.
Yeah, I told you one of my intentional things this 2025 is to I got all my cords all over me is to be a little more dedicated and consistent to kind of doing some of the pods here and there. So I figured we talked about what we previously did was really good, but it was kind of it's kind of the same thing over and over again. So I was like, what can we do to maximize having a an order that we could kind of follow that then allows for new content to kind of come in. So I on a whim, I texted you those five things, that we'll kind of do where we have like move of the month, nod to nostalgia, unrecognized role model, tis the season, and leave you with this. So I figure that kind of gives us some things to go with. So yeah, first of all, how was y'all's trip to Georgia?
Yeah, so went I guess it was about 50 miles outside of Atlanta in a town called LaGrange, Georgia. If anybody's listening to this from Georgia and it's not 50 miles, please don't correct me. But yeah, we took a small two-lane road about 50 miles before Atlanta. Sorry, it's outside of Atlanta. And to the Great Wolf Lodge, and it was really interesting. It was a really awesome water park, indoor water park,
That's cool.
and kids loved it. Had rock climbing and mini golf and mini bowling, and just it was a neat little thing that my in-laws did. Instead of gifts this year, they did a trip for everybody to go, and the kids get to hang out together. Similar to our situation where you're in Clinton, I'm outside of Memphis. My wife's family's still outside of Tupelo, and so we don't see them, especially the cousins and everything, as much as our kids would like. So
Right.
it was a good opportunity to get together and just kind of hang out.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you had a good time. We haven't done anything. We kind of stayed here, cleaned up. I'm in the process of like learning new um habits. So this is a wonderful chair at my desk, but the I took off the armrests because they would
Okay.
hit the desk, and so I could never get up. So I'm still so used to like, nope, I'm gonna fall if I do that. So I'm trying to stay seated and square and not try to rely on the armrest. But that I mean, closet clean out, clean up. We packed up all the Christmas stuff and just kind of got ready to go. So with that being said, kind of like I said, kicking off 2025, looking at the move of the month, in December, I was listening to a podcast with John Chris, and they were talking about how everyone in Hollywood and everyone in Nashville shut down for the entire end of November into December because you know what, well, we're not going to get back to it till February, and it's kind of been the opposite with the NFL because they're trying to rock and roll and get ready for postseason, which can be good or it can be bad. Some of the games this past Sunday were pretty boring because none of the starters played because they're all getting ready for postseason. But we both kind of picked out our two moves of the month came from the NFL. You talked about Kirk Cousins. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you rightly text me figuring that I would choose the Juan Soto deal, but I I would have loved to have kept Juan Soto in the Bronx, but I'm glad we're not spending $765 million on the guy.
Uh-huh.
I think the Yankees have made some good moves, but that's not what I chose. If we go back, I guess it was a couple of years ago, Netflix started doing these series where they will follow a handful of players. They've done, they did the golf thing. They've done F1 racing. They did a
Right.
NASCAR thing. Well, they did a quarterback one. They followed Patrick Mahomes. And Kirk Cousins was one of the guys they followed, and he was a Viking at the time. Well, he signed a 2-year, I think it was $100 million guaranteed contract to the Falcons down in Atlanta, and hasn't had the season he's wanted, to say the least, you
Yeah.
know. And the reason that I chose this move is because I really became a Kirk Cousins fan watching that series, because he's just a very down to earth guy. You know, he doesn't really do anything fancy. He's got, kids that he's really invested in, with his wife. He's very family time is very important to him. You know, he would go
Hmm.
home and sing to his kids. What I like about Kirk Cousins, he's not too cool to sing goofy songs to his kids on camera. He just let everybody see him be a dad, and so really started being a Kirk Cousins fan. Hadn't had a great year, and so he got benched 2 games ago. This is the second game. This past Sunday was the second game that he was not the starter, and he kind of took ownership of it. He said, he said there's a standard that I have for myself. And unfortunately, I wasn't playing to that standard. And so, I understand what Coach Morse was doing. Um,
I
but
like in that same sentence he said it's a one play away kind of thing. That
yeah, always
that
got,
right
yeah,
there, yeah.
he's still preparing, because you never know. But what really stuck out to me was, you're in this, you got the Aaron Rodgers deal where he's not playing well. And he kind of came out and said, I would love to come back to a team and mentor a guy. But he started 3 or 4 years as the backup to Brett Favre, who very famously said, it's not in my contract that I have to mentor a backup. Like, that's not what my responsibility is.
Right.
And did not take the Aaron Rodgers thing very well. And there was always that strife between them. And one thing that I loved is about this move with Kirk Cousins being benched was Coach Morris brought him in, told him face to face, and he immediately called Michael Penix Jr. And he says, and I quote, I just want to let him know that I'd be in his corner, supporting him and trying to help him in any way that I can. And it's funny that Penix was in Costco at the time. He said, I was about to order a hot dog meal that are $1.50 for
Absolutely. That'll never
basically,
change.
yeah. And he said, I wasn't very hungry after that. But to have this guy like Kirk Cousin, who has done so much good in the NFL, to call the rookie and say, hey, I recognize that I am being benched, but I want to be there for you. Whatever you need from me, whatever I can do to kind of help you ease into this process, that's what I'm going to do. And then he ended up telling Coach Morris, I'm going to be the best number 2 quarterback in the National Football League. And I just think that goes to show, and really speaks very highly of the character that is Kirk Cousins. He was a starter for so many years. He's got the gold C on his jersey, which means that he's been a 5-year captain of a team,
Mhm.
whatever team that is. And so, his ego did not get the best of him. He wanted to continue to be, if not a great quarterback, a great mentor and a great teammate. And then what was so awesome was after the game, a picture had come out that before Penix came out, Cousins pulled him aside in the tunnel and led him in a pregame prayer. And you just love to see that with a guy that's probably on the back end of his career, helping a young guy kind of come in, calm his nerves, let him know that he's in his corner, and really cheering him on. Because at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins wants to win. If he's playing or not, he wants his team to do well, and he wants to be known as a good teammate and a good
Mhm.
man, much more so than a good
And he's a
quarterback.
good competitor. We talk a lot at work about the different types of leaderships. I know that's such a very novel idea that people talk about at work, but one of the things we talked about was successional leadership, setting the next person up, because then that reflects on you. Yeah, I mean, if you talk about you got roped in to being a fan of his because of his character. Well, then he played great, wonderful, but now it's still his character that holds you in, and I think that's
Yeah.
good. We say a lot of that about sports. People love sports because the stories you hold on to the stories. Some that's I There's a long we could take the long route about why tennis is no longer super duper famous. The stories aren't there. We can't name all the tennis players. They were there, but then they all just
Right.
kind of. But we don't have that now. But I do like that. So also another for me, the one that I saw was Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold, who plays for the Vikings, Cam Akers, who's a Clinton grad,
Yeah.
one of my former students, plays for him. Scored a touchdown this past Sunday. But his ability to play and to rise to that occasion is great. But the thing that really landed on me with him was luck. And so sometimes we talk a lot about to be sometimes most of the time, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I'd say this with students when I taught them photography and all that. If you want to be in the right spot to get that angle, to get that shot, it doesn't just happen. It could, that's chance, but luck is something that you work hard for. We One of the things, oh, I left all my notes somewhere else. In that same vein of how hard he's worked to get to where he is, it just happened to be that the next thing that came along was what stuck. It might not have stuck earlier. He might have
Yeah.
been kind of, let's just somebody that we're just going to unsign and just get rid of. And maybe he can, maybe make it to the end of a season, but instead he's stuck with it. It's that, that image of the miner mining away, and you never know where the diamonds are on the other side.
Right.
Hemingway, in The Old Man and the Sea, there's a quote in there where they're talking about going to get the fish, the big fish, and they say, we're going to go out there and we're going to take all the luck with us. And one of the guys says, "Well, the hell with luck. I bring the luck." My brother-in-law actually has that tattooed on his leg, and I think that's just hysterical because it's very much just true. The harder you work, the luckier you get. But it goes towards what is your goal, what is your mission. If it's to be a Hall of Fame quarterback that wins the Super Bowl, that gets MVP, that gets the big contract, that's a very, very minute goal. But if it's kind of going back to Kirk Cousins, if it's to be a good guy, to be an excellent teammate, to learn from others, to grow, to not take yourself so seriously, all those kind of things, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And so that's one thing that I
Yeah.
saw with Sam Darnold that I just absolutely loved. And then I saw a thing on LinkedIn. Everybody, you got to be on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, then what are you doing? It says, talk about the most successful sales reps are just lucky, yet they're lucky because they seem to work the smartest. They are lucky because they seem to be the go-to experts. They're lucky because they seem to have the best solutions. They are lucky because they seem to know how to help their clients. Sales takes luck, but luck goes towards those who work the hardest. And I think that again, I think it's kind of what we talked about with Kirk Cousins and with Sam Darnold, and I loved it and all that. Um,
Yeah. Along the lines of luck,
yeah.
coach, my high school baseball coach, Eddie Lofton, he had well, he came in my junior year, and he had this huge book that he gave everybody. I say huge. We were in high school, so anything bigger than half an inch was huge.
That's right.
And so, but it had all these sayings. It had all of our plays, obviously, that we would go through. But one of the things that really stuck out to me, and the one that has stuck with me, is luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And so, you prepare, you prepare, you prepare, you prepare, you prepare. The opportunity presents itself. You're prepared, and that's when you become lucky.
Yeah, it goes back down to hard work. What's your mission? What are you aiming for? Redefinitions of success. It all sounds like, again, throwaway cliches, but it's really not. It's where you land in. So, kind of to get off a little bit of a topic. So, one thing that I wanted to talk about was kind of nostalgic things,
Yeah.
and I've got a little toy car here that I'm gonna talk about later. But um, coming out of Christmas, the Christmas season, we had a pretty good Christmas here with the kids, and I do laugh that. Oh, where is it? I bought myself a Bluetooth a Bluetooth ear thing to talk on my phone, like I'm some
Okay.
kind of. But all of my headphones, none of my headphones are any good. Like they don't really do a good job of picking up the sound. So I was like, you know what? I when I need a phone call, anyway, I got it on sale, my favorite flavor, and I got it
There you go.
with a gift card. So, but we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about nostalgia, and so inside that Christmas world, two things that I wanted to bring up. First of all, do you remember the Folgers commercial where the brother comes back home and the sister is kind of like extra lovey-dovey on the brother? Like it just didn't sit well with
I,
me.
I do, and it's actually funny that I saw a an article or something that titled it "The Incestual Folgers Commercial."
I mean,
Uh, it was and it was awkward.
it definitely was awkward, but I get joy. Like I like my second thing I want to talk about. It's like the unmatched joy of a child, but that commercial, it just didn't. I get the sentimentality of what they were doing. It was kind of in that '90s world where, like they said in Fight Club, we had no war, we had no whatever. There was no real reason the guy was gone except just to be gone, and it's just
Yeah.
it just it just it left me feeling icky. It just left me feeling icky.
I don't think you're the only one out
Okay,
there.
I hope that's the case. If anybody just absolutely loves that commercial and I have offended you, I highly apologize, but we need to find you another favorite commercial. The other thing that I want to talk about with the children is when we were kids. Do you remember the game Crossfire? You shot the little BBs.
The metal BBs. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think you and I had it and could never find the
We
BBs.
never could find them because we would lose them, and we would not have anywhere as near much fun as they had in the commercial. So in the commercial, you've got this lightning just going everywhere, and people in a stadium to watch these kids shoot these BBs and try to. I never found that much joy inside Crossfire. What did I write down over here? It's super soakers, like these super soakers. I want to know which super soaker they were buying that blasted people off their feet.
Literally. It
It
didn't
was
just leak all over your hands.
the Slimers that that you were gonna have all these creepy crawly things. It just seemed like if you didn't bring the energy, the toy wasn't gonna bring it for you. And I don't know. I just think all the false hope that's given to these toys and these commercials, the marketing is excellent, but it just kind of left me feeling
That's
wanting.
right. It's funny you talk about nostalgia. Megan and I guess it was so over Thanksgiving, we went down to Clinton, spent the night, over to Flowood, had lunch, up to Starkville, had dinner, back over to DeSoto County. It was a fun day in the car.
Yeah.
And we're thankful for modern technology that can allow us to do those kind of things. But Megan is president of PTO at the elementary school, and they did a dinner or a Thanksgiving lunch for the teachers, and they played a playlist called "I Miss the '90s."
Oh yeah.
And I laughed and told Megan, I said, I know all these songs because I remember listening with my brother in the red Toyota,
Uh-huh.
the 1984 single cab stick shift Toyota
One wheel
truck. I think that's
drive.
what
It was a
Toyota Toyota
Toyota
pickup truck.
pickup truck. It had no name and it
That's
was
right.
one wheel drive.
But we started talking, and similar to the people, if you like the Folgers commercial, my goal here is not to offend anybody. My goal is really to make fun of myself, because I was telling Megan when I was a kid, I said all these songs remind me of the skating rink.
Yeah.
I said, and tomorrow, if I were 8 or 9, tomorrow I would go to the skating rink, and that was the only day we got to stay out till midnight.
Right. New Year's Eve.
Because that's exactly right. It's New Year's Eve. And so we would get to go to the skating rink until midnight. And Megan was like, your parents allowed you to go to the skating rink until midnight? And I said, well, that was the kind of the cool place to be if you're between the third grade and the fifth grade.
Yeah.
And then we started talking about the difference between like what was cool in Clinton versus what was cool in Boonville.
Yeah.
And I was just reminiscing on like Jinko jeans, the baggier the better. Like I wanted them to cover like just drag the ground. And
Did you
looking
have a
back,
pair?
I had one pair
Okay.
that I think I got from a friend because I was always shorter than everybody. And so when they outgrew them, they gave them to me.
See, but
Um,
that's the difference between the oldest and the youngest because my mother, your mother, would not let me get a pair. And I am thankful now that I can officially say I
oh,
never wore a pair, but let's just
pockets
say
down to your calves.
different standards.
But so you went to the skating rink. That wasn't really cool in Boonville. It was cool in Clinton. And then she said we would only go on birthday parties. And then she said that they took rollerblades to the skating rink. And I was like, whoa, that was a no-no in
No,
Clinton.
you show up to
Uh,
Fun Time Skate Land with rollerblades, you're getting talked
no,
about.
you got pinned into the corner. Um, and then what there was but that was just really just reminiscing on the easiness that was the skating rink because that's where all your friends were. Your parents didn't have to worry about you. You got to listen to the cool the new songs. A couple I wrote down were LFO Summer
Oh
Girls, I
yeah.
think is the name of the song.
Which Abercrombie and Fitch is making a comeback.
They are, and
They're making a big
they're
comeback.
changing their clothesline. Yeah, we Megan and I actually went there over maybe the Thanksgiving break. We got one at the outlet mall, and Megan loves their clothes, and because they're not like Abercrombie and Fitch 2004 clothes, right? But yeah, just all the Meredith Brooks, Natalie
Oh, I love
Imbruglia.
some Natalie and Bruglia now. I love
Oh man,
Australia's
just
finest.
We were literally, you said nostalgia, and that's the first thing I thought of was a skating rink because Megan and I just had the conversation. And I always think about like, uh, I wonder if what I thought was cool growing up, if everybody
Yeah.
else thought was cool,
How
or
does it
if people made
translate?
fun of me.
Hmm.
So,
And you've all got your thing. So the ironic thing is across the street from me lives one Walter Daniel, owner
ah,
of Funtime
fun
Skateland
time
and a
Skateland.
former employer because I worked at
Both of
Funtime.
us.
Both of us did. So it's good to know that Walter's across the street. But yeah, it's that world. I remember going to a skating rink. I don't know, maybe it was somewhere in North Mississippi or maybe it was in outside Mobile or something when we were going to visit whomever and it just wasn't the same. They didn't have the walls on the side. And I was like, nobody is out here doing what we do. And it's just so funny because you get so isolated and you have such a formative aspect of your childhood that
Yeah,
everybody else had their own version, but it's just not the same.
right.
It's just
No
not the same.
wipeout, no limbo.
Oh, gotta have Wipeout. I think they still do Wipeout.
It's the best
I
game.
don't know if they do Shoot the Duck anymore. That was the one where you squatted down and rode on the one skate.
Oh, okay.
I could do it,
That
and
was that was that's actually what I was thinking of when I said wipeout. I guess wipeout you just
you
slid on the
just
floor.
literally slid on the ground.
Okay.
And hope you don't get a concussion. So yeah, so kind of moving into that. So like I said, I was talking about the car right here. I'm gonna put that up to that. So John is obsessed with Cybertrucks. I don't know if y'all
So it's
if
Tucker.
you've seen one. We have
Yeah.
one or two maybe around central Mississippi. I know there's one in Clinton. Um, these are the easiest things to make fun of. The internet is just filled with I have too much money. I don't know what to do. So I bought an aluminum Cybertruck and
Bots.
yada yada yada. Like they're ugly, they're hideous. I don't know why anybody would like them. But the thing that just kind of got to me after I was ragging this guy next to me in at the red light in his Cybertruck that he paid for and could afford that I did not pay for and could not afford was John was just flipping out over it. He was so super excited about seeing something so awesome. And in my head, I'm ragging it. I'm sitting there going, I'm just hating all over it. So I kind of wrote down here, I was like, the childlike love of a Cybertruck. I don't think we allow ourselves to really hold on to that because we're sometimes more worried about the external. You know, there are those people who let people just love stuff, and then
Yeah.
there are those people who have to belittle it. And I don't know why I have to belittle something that no matter how practical it may be, why am I belittling it? Why
Right.
is it such a I don't know, but it's just a thing. And so I was like, I really need to kind of realize that the dude that has the Cybertruck, it's ugly, it's hideous, and I don't like it. But um my kid does, and how many things do we go over that other people like? We'll go and see a movie that we think is the dumbest movie. I remember when The Matrix came out, I thought it was the dumbest thing in the world until it clicked, and I was like, "Oh, brain in a vat theory. Oh, I get the philosophical da 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 da." I just couldn't get over Keanu Reeves, and so why am I hating on something so much? And it's a habit. We all do it, but
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of my kick in the gut of chill out and let people enjoy what they enjoy.
Yeah, that's funny. Because I won't go into what we were talking about, but Dad and I were talking about something very similar over Christmas, and this is going to kind of segue into my uh unrecognized role model, but I am doing my best to allow people to be themselves.
Yeah,
Not everybody needs to, the world doesn't need more than one Philip Chapman. I can say that honestly. It's a good thing there's not more than the one of me out there. But I've started liking things that I may be the only person that likes,
yeah,
and I'll do that thing. And if someone's like, "Why do you do that?" It brings me joy. What
yeah,
I'm gonna do that, and so I'm trying to allow other people, like your Cybertruck owner. We've got a handful of up here in Memphis. Um, if they like it, rock and roll. Doesn't
yeah.
impact my life. But I want to be in 25. I'm working to be more like a guy. Everybody knows him. His name's Ted Lasso.
Yeah, great show.
And it's a great show. I'm going to talk about it in a second. It's going to probably spoil a couple of things. If you haven't seen it, it's been out for a decade.
Yeah, you've had
Sorry,
plenty
you're
of
late.
time to see.
Yeah, it's not like I'm spoiling something that just came out. But so the story of Ted Lasso, he's an American football coach, goes over to England to be a soccer coach. They hired him basically to destroy the team. He didn't know that, and he is a very positive guy, and he recognizes throughout the show he makes fun of himself. I'm not a soccer coach, know nothing about soccer, but he's a coach of men. He knows how to, and that's the point of the show. And there's actually been business articles written about the Ted Lasso effect, like
Hmm.
putting more leaders into leadership positions that are not necessarily the smartest or the brightest in this area, but they know how to mold people. And they and the biggest thing is a positive attitude. And what
Yeah.
really stuck out to me, I'm rewatching it because they're 30-minute episodes and they're mindless. You don't have to pay attention. Sometimes I just need to turn off my brain. But at the end of the second season, there's a guy named Nate Shelley. When the show starts, he was the kit man. Nobody paid attention to him, but Ted Lasso paid attention to everybody. And
Hmm.
he asked him his name. That took Nate by surprise. He asked Nate's opinion, and Nate said, "Are you talking to me?" He said, "Let's just assume whenever I say Nate, I'm talking to you." And so he. But anyway, so Nate ends up being promoted to assistant coach because of Ted Lasso, and then got kind of jealous over some things, and he was called the Wonder Kid because of one play that he drew up, and so he ends up going to be the head coach of West Ham United, and he really takes this opportunity to dog Richmond and Ted and everybody. And so at the beginning of the third season, he does that, and they asked Ted on camera, do you have any comment on that? And he was like, he said, "Yeah, I do." And he goes on to say, "I'm surprised that's all he could come up with." He said, "Because I have no idea what I'm doing." He said, "But that's just Nate for you." He said he'll find the smallest little thing and he'll hammer that. And that's why he's going to be a great soccer coach. That's why he's Nate the Great. And he's going to do great things at West Ham. They're super lucky to have him. And I said, how often do I take the opportunity if somebody has done me wrong the first time I can just to hammer them back?
Uh-huh.
And Ted didn't do that because he didn't have to.
Right.
And the show that episode goes on. It was like you know the Twitter feed was Ted Classo and Ted outclasses and it just goes to I know he's a written character and he's not a real guy, but like I want to be more like that where
Right.
I try to find the good in people regardless of what they found in me and regardless of what I'm going through. I want to be the guy who can be positive and just try to make a change.
We've got on our wall, which of course right now we don't because we have, all the Christmas cards that are on the little wreath, but over there where it goes, we've got it's never doing the right thing is never the wrong thing. And so we talk with the kids all the time. That's a line from Ted Lasso for those who haven't seen it. Talk to the kids all the time about, what is the right thing? The right thing changes. It's not always just one thing. You've got to understand the situation. Yeah, I've been in a few situations publicly where people have some negative things to say about me, and at the end of the day, they might be true, they might not be true, but there's a kindness and an attitude that permeates singular situations, and I think Ted Lasso, the show, does that tremendously. It's one of those that kind of slaps you across the face that makes you realize
Oh yeah.
I'm not that good. He's so
Yeah,
much better.
that's right. That's right.
That's good. That's good.
Um, Yeah, I'll kind of set you up with this one. 'Tis the season. Very, very well done there. So we are coming out of a season of soccer and Teddy did her first year of cheerleading, loved it. Teddy's not a she's actually incredibly athletic. She just doesn't care. We'll be hitting Tucker and I'll be hitting balls in the yard, and she'll come out and just smoke a couple of balls. I'm like, babe, you want to play softball?
Nope.
Man, maybe when I'm 10 or
Hmm.
12. It's like, okay,
Hmm.
no, why not now? So she doesn't really care about sports. She cheerleaded this year and loved it. And so that's a big thing because she really enjoyed it, really wanted to do it, wants to do it
Yeah.
again. And so that's one of the first things that we found that she has found joy
Hmm.
in an activity. She finds joy in everything that she does. There's a lot that can be said for that, but this is something that she signed up for that she was like, I like this.
Yeah.
So she went and found her little thing, and it's certainly not a competitive cheerleading league. We're not there. It was a Olive Branch Youth Football and Cheerleading Association, and I told her when she signed up for it, the little boys play they get NFL teams. And so there's like a 6U all the way up to 12U. 6U is obviously flag football for you CTE freaks out there. They're not hitting people in the head. But they does get up into tackle football, but there's one and they're all NFL teams: Cowboys, Packers,
Right.
Panthers,
Does
Titans.
the NFL play 60 stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And but there's only one cheerleading squad. So one Saturday we made cheer for the 8-year-old team, and the next Saturday we made cheer for the 12-year-old team. Anyway, when she signed up for it, I said, "Oh, babe," I said, we can't be on the Cowboys." I
Mm.
said, "Dad hates the Cowboys."
Hmm.
And so we get the text message that says, "Congratulations, you're a Cowboys cheerleader." And we both, it was almost like scripted. We both looked up at each other and we said, "Oh no." And so I had to spend an entire season cheering for the Cowboys.
Maybe it's the Cowboys from the Little
Uh,
Giants.
yeah,
Yeah, it'll be good.
but
We
I
can do
like the
that.
little Giants in that one, right? You want the
Yeah.
underdog to win.
We like the underdog to win.
But I see your note here. What are you about to do,
Yeah,
Robert?
so we I thought that my coaching days were over. Like I've done high school soccer, I've done high school baseball, junior high baseball, I've done golf. Like I thought I did the little soccer stuff, thought my coaching days were over. And our church, First Baptist Clinton, is taking on upward basketball, and they needed some of the men at church to be coaches. And I
There you
told them that
go.
I have no time, and they said that's okay. So I'm an assistant coach for upward basketball. John loves basketball. I love basketball. It's a lot of fun. Lots of tactics, lots of good things to learn. So I'll be an assistant basketball coach in the free time, all the free time that I have. So that's and then it will spill over into spring soccer season and spring break and 9 weeks test and all that kind of stuff. So that's
There you go.
kind of where we are. So
Hey, I have mad respect for you because Tucker's playing church league basketball,
yeah,
and as much experience as you have in basketball, I have less.
yeah,
It's not a thing that I know y'all watch it a ton. We don't watch it much. Tucker, for some reason, loves it. And I went to a practice and I looked at Megan and I was like, I have no clue what they're talking about. Like as
hmm,
far as running these drills, said, thank God I'm not coaching because we just play horse every day.
absolutely. So one of the things that I learned coaching the little soccer league is instead of getting out there and okay, we're gonna dribble the ball to this cone and then everybody turn around and we're gonna dribble. No, no, no. We immediately worked on throw-ins, corner kicks, and goal kicks, and they learned all the other stuff from that, and we learned position. So if I can just get that to where we can keep our shape, that's the one
Yeah.
thing. Now, again, I'm just the assistant coach. I might just be eye candy and with a clipboard. Who knows? But I'm going to do what the head coach tells me to do. But
That's
so
right.
that's kind of about that. So we got about 5 minutes left on our free Zoom that we so lovingly use.
Thank
And
you, Zoom.
I love it. Thank you so very much for your free time. I kind of want to start closing these things out between one of us and letting have somebody say something. So I kind of want to leave you with this. Um, Ole Miss plays their bowl game tomorrow night, I believe. um, but I heard today that they're playing a game they don't want to play against a team they don't want to play against. The guys want to be there for the team, but they don't want to play for what they're playing for. And so that kind of hit me with, you know, in no matter what in this dichotomy world that we live in, yes and no, black and white, in and out, up and down. To have somebody in, you're always going to have somebody out. Somebody's going to get left out. And it kind of goes back to what we're talking about at the very beginning about, what is your mission? What is your goal? How do you define success? College football playoffs over the years, we've gone from 4 teams to 12. When there was 4 teams, that wasn't the right 4 teams that were in there. They left Florida State out. Florida State didn't help themselves this season to prove them wrong, but they left Florida State out. They should have been in there. Last year, they should have been in there. I'll tell you that. But now we've gone to 12 teams. And so now you've got teams like Arizona State and Boise State and Indiana who arguably shouldn't be there, but they are. Somebody's going to get left out. And we are always so quick to label and identify those times when we are left out or somebody else is left out of something. That's why they call it the first out. When you look at, especially in March Madness, or when we start getting into the College World Series, the first team in, first team out. Are we ever quick to say and quick to identify when we're included? There's so many things I can look back over my life to where I was left out. So I thought I wasn't chosen. I was the one singled out and I wasn't allowed to go. But how many times, which is are countless, how many times was I chosen? How many times was I given the part? How many times did I get the opportunity to fill in the blank? And I don't think that we take those opportunities to heart, and I don't think that we really, really look for them. My boss, Dr. Andy Scoggin, always says that you tend to find what you look for. If you're buying a car and you're trying to find a 2022 Chevy Tahoe, black Chevy Tahoe, you're going to start seeing 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 black Chevy Tahoes everywhere. You're going to find what you look for. And so I think going into this new year, if we take our time to find those opportunities of where we've been included, we get to appreciate it in the moment. We kind of get to store that core memory. I think that we'll start finding that instead of finding the talking points of all the people, all the things that were left out, or all the people who were left out. It'll also give us a little more empathy for when somebody else is left out. We'll understand, how can I show you some grace and some mercy when it was something that we both really wanted and I got it and you didn't, because it could have so easily been the other way. It's taken me 40 years to get to that point, and I probably don't do a very good job as it is. We've got election stuff coming up, and I really would love to be elected again. But what if I'm not? Where's my definition of success? Where does that go? Is it the harder we work, the luckier we get? And when can we identify that not only is somebody going to get left out, and it'll be us sometimes, but when are we included? When are we let in? So
Pretty awesome.
all right. Well, I hope you have a great January. We will do this again. I promise. I've got papers here. I've got calendars all ready to go that we're gonna make sure that we get content in.
That's
All right.
right.
Well, it's good seeing you. I'm glad I got to see your face in person the other day, last week. And I hope you have a great week back at work. Do you get any New Year's stuff off?
Yeah, New Year's Day will be off, so gonna try to enjoy some time hanging out with Megan and some friends tomorrow night, and hope you guys have a safe New Year's, a fun New Year's, a great second semester, and big stuff coming up in February. So praying for you there and hoping the best for you. Quentin, you would be wise to elect Robert Chapman, Alderman at Large.
It'll be all right. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go home and go do your thing.
All right.
I'm gonna
Good
go
talking
watch
to you.
some Monday Night Football.
All right, man. Talk to you later.
Bye. I love you.
Bye. I love you.